So if I'm setting up an FSTO20 or a 230, which mount mode should I select, direct or reflect? Assuming I've gone through the quick commissioning and I've gotten to the point where I can select direct or reflect, I've gone through the sensor settings by setting up my units, have already selected my pipe size, done the actual sensor selection, have picked the medium, which would be the type of liquid or gas. I then come to configure paths. And I select the path that I'm going to be setting up. In this case, it's path 1. Save settings. And start measurement. Now here we come to a choice of direct or reflect and how many traverses there are. Traverses just mean how many transits the signal will take through the pipe. Will it be 1? Will it bounce off the far wall and be 2? Will it take 2 bounces and be 3? Or 3 bounces and be 4 traverses? Let's take a look at some simple rules. In most instances, you're going to be mounting and reflect to traverse. And that's typically on steel. Whenever there's enough room to mount this way, reflect will require a little bit more linear space to mount on the pipe than direct will. So the pipe needs to be steel. Doesn't need to be, but in most cases that's when we do reflect mount. True 2 traverse would be for either liquid or gas. 4 traverses would only be for gas applications. And I would always consult the FS200 sizing tool to decide when to choose the reflect 4 traverse mount mode. The directs, when it comes to liquid, is going to be on non-steel pipes. I like to use it on ductile iron and cast iron more than I do like to use reflect, because those non-steel pipes tend to be more attenuative, and by using direct we lose less of the signal. So you've got a choice again between direct 1 traverse or 3 traverses. Again, let's reserve this only for gas applications whenever the FS200 sizing tool suggests that you use it. So after you make your selection, hit the right arrow, and you're going to be given 2 ways to space out the sensor on the pipe, either through mounting index, which utilizes the spacer bar, or the recommended spacing in inches. Now here's the spacer bar on the far right picture. One side goes on reference, the other side goes on whatever index number it calls out. If the spacing is too small to use an index, a spacer bar and an index, use the gap between the sensor faces from one sensor to the other. And that's the linear spacing in inches. If you're going with a direct mount, the sensors always come with a Mylar spacing tool, which just wraps around the pipe and helps you find the opposite side of the pipe. If you've got enough spacing, what you could do is mount them both on the same side of the pipe using the spacer bar and the index. Make a mark, and then use your Mylar strap to find the appropriate location on the opposite side of the pipe. By the way, if you're using the mount location on a vertical pipe, it needs to be upward flowing liquid or gas rather than downward. More so for liquid than gas. If this is a horizontal running pipe, then you want to stay somewhere on the sides, typically anywhere between the range of 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And here's a perfect example of that. One side is on the 10 o'clock, the other side is on the 2 o'clock. These are dual path installations, both of them. Same thing here, 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. Once you have everything mounted, you hit next. And this is not an actual meter, so it could not find a signal. But let's say it could, you'd end up on this step where you could look at the signal. And here's our signal. And that's it, you're done.